Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing today? Happy Saturday. Yes, Jeff Saturday. Of course, that's what I mean. Everyone knows that. Hope everyone's having a great day or as great a week as Jeff Saturday is. The new head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, Frank Reich, fired on Monday. And Jim Irsay went to, let's say, an unexpected option. The ESPN analyst and former All-Pro center for the Colts and a guy who's been consulting for us. Bypassed some current or former head coaches on his current staff and Gus Bradley and John Fox and some up and comers. So interesting news there. Also, something worth watching is how the quarterback situation is going to play out there because we don't know. We do know Sam Ellinger is going to start, but Matt Ryan practiced fully this week. Got a lot of reps in practice. It seems like one of the reasons that he was not starting was because Jim Irsay kind of wants to tank. Maybe that's not Jeff Saturday's plan, and maybe that was something projecting here. The big news, of course, I'm burying the lead. Jonathan Taylor off the injury report. So we can all get excited about that, or at least excited about something. Not that Jonathan Taylor was killing it because he wasn't, but would love to have that piece back. But the offensive line there's a mess. There's a lot to sort out there. We'll get to some of it. A few other items before we get into the questions. I see everybody there. I appreciate everyone coming. I see the questions piling up, and I will get to them momentarily. Good morning, Wendy. Good morning, Dusty. Good morning, Andrea. Hello, Troy. Thanks for coming. Henry, thanks everyone for coming. I will get to these questions momentarily. Just set the table. It is week 10. There are teams on bye. We should probably acknowledge that right off the bat, right? So you get those out of your roster. So not everyone is immersed as the rest of us. Ravens, Bengals, Patriots, Jets, all in the bye. So need some players in there. You might want to start Joe Mixon, just get momentum, pull that out from under us. So on the news front, plenty there to chew on as well this week that we'll have to deal with. Quarterback Josh Allen has the ankle injury. There will be questions about him already, and I will be prepared. Matthew Stafford in the concussion protocol sounds like he's trending towards getting cleared. Kind of seems to be progressing in the right direction. Also have Kyler Murray has a hamstring issue. That maybe worries me more. If he's cleared, let's say both Stafford and Murray are cleared, you feel like Stafford even avoids a big shot, which is not like a no mean feat given that offensive line. But Murray, if he takes off to run, Cliff Kingsbury, he's got a hamstring issue. He's listed as questionable. Cliff Kingsbury said, he can still be effective working in the pocket, but can he? Can he stay in the pocket? It doesn't seem like his nature. If he takes off and runs, he's playing that hamstring. All kinds of concerns there. Any number of injury issues, some of them clearing up. We'll get to those questions as needed. Some other interesting points. A lot of talk about Jaylen Warren moving up in the cutting into the workload of one Najee Harris. Let's talk about it. The article's up on the website. By the way, I'm from footballdiehards.com. I'm Bob Harris, senior editor there. Lots of articles on the site, including on Najee Harris and possibility that maybe Leonard Fournette loses some touches as well. So a lot of things going on. Get my phone a little closer in case I'm not loud enough. So yeah, a lot of things going on for us to sort through. Week 10, it's getting more important each and every year. I know there are, as some of your competitors get knocked out of the playoffs or playoff contention or whatever, you're going to remain focused and keep grinding. So I appreciate everyone showing up and doing that. And we'll get to the questions now because there are many of them. The questions are copious today. And I'm glad everyone can make it. Appreciate you all. Again, I'm Bob Harris. Find me at footballdiehards.com. You find me here every Saturday at noon. Hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to get notifications about this when we go live, do it every Saturday at noon Eastern Time and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. So every Saturday night, Football Diehards, our DFS lineup show, normally manned by Jamie Calandro and Eric Romoff. They run you through all the DFS matchups, game by game, the best plays, etc. Tonight, Drew Phelps, our prop bet man, will be sitting in for Jamie Calandro, who's off in Washington, taking his class on a huge civic trip. He runs the band at his school, so they've won a contest and they're off in Washington, D.C. to perform. So fantastic. So Drew Phelps will be sitting in with Eric tonight. You'll catch me tonight if you want, and many nights on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Tonight we're on NFL Radio and Fantasy Sports Radio. You can catch us at 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 to 11 is the time tonight. Sunday you can catch me with Jeff Mans from 11 to 1 p.m. They call it the pregame show, people. It's on before the game, 2 hours before the games. Monday night from 10 to 1 a.m., Thursday night 10 to 1 a.m., and every Friday night from 10 to 1 on the Series 6 Sports Radio. So appreciate everyone dialing up, tuning in, catching up. We've set the table. Let's get to the questions because Troy Olson is here for the party, and I want to party with you. Glad you could make it, Troy. Good to see you here. Henry Friedman, George Pickens, or Michael Pittman, full point PPR. I'm not sure what the hell I want to do with these Colts. I feel like as a general rule of thumb, we overplay negative implications of everything possible to the degree where we can scare ourselves off them. I think Pittman will continue to get decent volume. I don't know what he'll do with it. I'm probably leaning towards playing Pickens here just because I know what's going on, and he seems to be the favorite of Kenny Pickett. So I might lean that way. I do think it's a bit of an overreaction. Right? Pickett's been okay. The Steelers' offense is not great. Yes, I hear you out there screaming at me. The Colts' offense is not great either, and it's not. So I would probably play Pickens for the upside. I think Pittman is the smarter play for me. If seems like a less risky play. But neither of them are, like I would say, desirable. But that said, I think both of them are, in three receiver lineup, both of them should be in lineups. Pittman, the smarter play. Pickens, my country play. The real estate lawyers in New York, New Jersey, Weber, Fabian, and Associates, LLC. Hello. 2 questions. Fields or Tua? Tough, yes. Kmet or Hawkinson? Also tough. I like Hawkinson's role in that first game. Is it the real thing? I mean, we had a great game in Detroit, and then he disappeared all the other games. So I'm not, I don't want to go overboard on him either. I think Kmet's a decent play, but I kind of feel like we're chasing the 2 touchdowns last week. Probably a slight lean for me to Hawkinson in this one. Just seems like the role looks like seems safer there, and not necessarily safer, but what we saw his first game in, clearly they had plans for him. So I'm going to play that and think that Kmet's game is a little bit of an outlier. Remember, when you're asking about Justin Fields or Tua, I'm probably playing Tua there myself, but it's kind of like, I would play Tua every week. I'll tell you on our rankings this week, there are 4 and 5, or 3 and 4, excuse me. Tua is 3, Fields is 4. So however you feel about this is probably the direction you should go. I'm not going to be there on Monday when it goes awry. You can't kick me in the ass. You can only take yourself in the ass. So you might as well pick the one you want. They're both, fairly equal. Fields gives you that high-end rushing ability, and we've seen it pretty much every game since the Week 6 game against Washington. He's just turned it on. They've made some adjustments to their offense that have opened things up for him. But they're running the ball heavily. I mean, I don't know that he's passed for 20 yards yet, right? I mean, it's not a pass-first offense. So, for the associated pieces, I love Darnell Mooney this week, but I think Kmet is equally, a viable play there. But I would play 2 over Fields. JR1616, hi. I always love these. Thank you. The Guillotine League. My team, I feel, is in good shape this week. I need the safer, not better choice. Brady in Germany versus Seahawks. Kyler Murray is not a safe play this week. He's questionable and has a hamstring. I don't know that Brady is a great play, but he's probably the safer play in any team. Pickens, yes. I think Troy is kind of affirming, I think, what I said. I mean, Pittman is probably the logical play, the hunch play for me, as well as for Troy, is Pickens. And again, both ranked, I don't want to say in the same tier because I think we have Pittman at the tail end of the 2s and Pickens in the 3s. Just in our staff rankings. No, they're pretty much in the same tier. So both outside the wide receiver 2 tier. So, firmly in the wide receiver 3 tier. Pick your poison, play your hunch there, and Troy Olson and myself Pickens a little bit. Has Kyler been fully ruled in? I've heard he may not play at all. He has not been officially ruled in or out. And what Cliff Kingsbury said, Troy, is basically he can play. He did practice, so he got on the practice field, I think, the last 2 days. So, the mobility is the issue, right? And Cliff Kingsbury, the comment that struck me is, yes, he can play effectively from within the pocket. And I said, yes, he probably can. He can pass effectively, do all those things. But would he actually do that? That'd be my concern. If he takes off running, are you going to have an issue? I mean, these are, there are no certainties here, but assuming he's active, and it's a late afternoon kickoff, so you're going to have a fallback plan in place. There's more late games this week than last week, so we got that going for us. But I'm probably, I don't know that I wouldn't consider Kyler Murray a safe play this week. John Ortiz, good morning. Should I keep the Titans defense at home versus Denver, but without four of their starters, or pick up the Rams D versus the job? I'd probably want to pick on the quarterback situation. I generally do. I mean, the Titans D hasn't been great. I could probably go to the Rams in this one. Jameson Alley, 5. Full point PPR, Singletary versus Minnesota, Swift versus Chicago, or Elliott versus Green Bay. I'd probably just go Swift. I like the fact that he's offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. If you didn't see it, you can go to the Football Diehards website. An article about it this morning. Basically said that Swift is pissed. He hasn't been getting more of a workload. Well, also he's been hurt, right? Beat up. Anyway, he's missed 3 full games. Missed a full month, right? Because the bye was in the middle of that string. Came back, still not fully healthy. Dan Campbell said we're going to go easy on him until he is fully healthy. This week he's off the report. I'm fully healthy. I'd still play him. Singletary, I have an article up on that on the website as well. The matchups, some of the things I don't like about it. Minnesota pretty tough against the run. We don't know what this offense is really going to look like. There's an argument to be made if Josh Allen doesn't play, maybe they go run heavier. I think we should remember Case Keenum is a pretty good quarterback, or has been serviceable, pretty good. I'm going to rephrase that, serviceable. Right? But the Minneapolis Miracle was Case Keenum, right? Throwing to Stephon Diggs, so it's not like he is totally incapable. And he has good weapons around him. I'm not as excited about Gabe Davis because I'm not excited about Gabe Davis just about any week. If you go look at his week-to-week numbers, there are going to be huge weeks and there are going to be weeks he disappears. And they aren't quite even. I think there's more weeks when he disappears. But anyway, I digress. Singletary, he's getting 10 carries a game. What if he gets to that up to 12? Still doesn't have a rushing touchdown season, right, on 79 carries. I kind of like Singletary coming into the season and invested in him a fair amount. I'm not keen on him this week. So I go Swift. It would be Singletary over Elliott, though. So in that order. So if you feel like you want to play that healthy one or the one to be healthy right now, I wouldn't talk you out of Swift. He is. Let's see where I got him in the rankings. I think right at the tail end of the running back twos. Yeah, he's 24, just ahead. Swift just ahead of him. So I think those two are kind of in the thing for me. Elliott's the one I dial back on. That's a late afternoon kickoff anyway, and he's questionable. We may find out today, and then any time now while we're doing this, we may find out that Elliott's either been ruled out or not making the trip, or that he is not ruled out or is making trip. All those things. So we'll check into that, and I kind of got an eye on the notification devices in case something comes up during the course of the program. I also have you. We'll certainly tell me. Again, thanks for coming, everybody. Always appreciate spending a little time with you on Saturdays, especially. All kinds of things going on. Brian M., good morning. Appreciate you sharing it all. Would you risk trading Chase for the fantasy? Trading for Chase? Yes. And thank you for coming and sharing in the knowledge. Appreciate your guys' feedback here as well. If you want to join in, as Troy did, jump in the comments of you see strongly about it right ahead. Yeah, I would risk trading for him. I think the fact that the Bengals didn't put him on IR is a pretty good indication that they think he'll be back before the end of the season, and maybe within the four-week window that he would have had to miss. Maybe coming off the bye, maybe we'll get some news. Haven't heard anything yet, but I don't think it's going to be an extended absence. The long end of it, the initial reporting was 6 weeks. So it's not like it's season ending or expected to be season ending. So I would trade for him. Trade hopefully on the cheap line now. Scott Hedge, what is the status and rest of season potential for Brandon Cooks and wide receiver, Houston wide receiver, and Kyron Williams, the running back for the Lamb, and Rashad White. And yes, good morning, Scott and Dusty. Yes, I'm just catching up here, people. I'll get caught up. So be patient if I haven't got to your question yet. I'm scrolling through and doing them all as I get them. Again, it would help me out. Not necessary as much as it is on Wednesday, but first initial and last name. Sometimes people have the same names. And if you could put in the matchup, who they're playing, kind of facilitate, my thought process. So appreciate it. So Cook is listed as questionable. They're calling it a wrist injury. We'll see how much is the wrist and how much is the hurt feelings. But he's obviously got an issue that they didn't get traded. He talked about it this week and said he's tired of losing. Definitely not happy there. So, but I think he will play. That seems to be the notion that he will. And Nico sounds like he'll be back as well. The rest of the season, man, Davis Mills has not progressed as I expected, or as we saw him do late last season. He got it to start earlier, Davis Mills, and struggled mightily. Tyrod Taylor came back, or Tyrod, depends on which year it is. He changes. And then he got hurt, and then when Davis Mills came back that second round of starting, he looked like he made great strides. Like, the sidelines watching a little bit, studying up, all those things seemed to work in his favor. And remember, at Stanford, he was hurt. He didn't have a lot of college experience. So I thought, man, maybe this guy can write. Pat Hamilton, a really wily offensive coordinator who's been around and has been part of the development of some really good quarterbacks. And this all looks good, and it has not been good. So Amy Pierce has been good, as we all know. But in general, I'm not super high on Cooks, but I do think he's going to remain a Houston Texan and he'll continue playing. So there's that. Kyron Williams, an intriguing prospect, just because we don't know how bad he sucks. Right? We know how bad Cam Akers is. We know how bad Darrell Henderson's been. We know Malcolm Brown isn't going to save the day. Ronnie Rivers. It's the offensive line. It's horrible. So Kyron Williams, not a big guy, kind of undersized, wasn't fast at the combine, ran a 4.7. I expect, he's going to get an opportunity because everyone else is so bad. I don't know that he'll be fantastic, but he is a new thing, and we don't know yet. So I've invested some speculative plays on him just in case. I'm keeping my expectations in check. Bad rushing attack, bad offensive line. This offense clearly not working. Rashad White feels like a little bit of a lottery ticket to me. I mentioned it at the top of the program here. If you missed it, Greg Auman of The Athletic. Some of these stories sometimes, they turn into from speculation to fact. Greg Auman was basically saying, look, there's some things going on here, and I think this is how it looks like it might play out, is Rashad White taking over down the stretch. And it's possible. Tracy Wilson from CBS have an article up on this. Go to footballdiehards.com. If you're not a subscriber, use promo code Diehards and get 15% off. But you can kind of see he was frustrated, and Wilson reported on this. Fournette was frustrated because he lost like an entire series. They pulled him for a series, which is kind of normal to spell a running back from time to time. But he wanted to be in, and White was bucking him up after that, saying, "We need you, man." So it's interesting. They just aren't running the ball well. I think everything else is working well. I think the key for me is, what does Tom Brady want? Tom Brady wants a trusted target and a guy that he's worked with and had success with last year and the year before. So I think that'd be his leaning, but maybe Lenny needs to do his part and keep it going. Well, White is like a lottery ticket for that reason, right? We've seen the predictions. We've kind of seen him gaining a little traction. So he's a little more of a lottery ticket. But between the Rams and the Buccaneers, the two worst running offenses in the NFL. So I'm not getting my hopes up. Andrea, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you. Jesse Hurst. Judy, Kirk, Ayuk. I'd probably go Kirk, Ayuk, Judy in the full point PPR. Hoping that the Jaguars have to engage in a little shootout action with the Kansas City Chiefs, trying to keep up with them homies. It's entirely possible. Ayuk's been really good. I mean, are there concerns now that Deebo Samuel's back? I want to say Ayuk's last 3 games. I have a number up here that struck me as I was reviewing the information. Ayuk, last 3 games, has 3 games in a row, 80+ receiving yards. He's gotten 24.8% of the target share, 6 red zone targets over that span. Well, we continue getting those with Deebo back and Christian McCaffrey in the mix, all those pieces in place. Here's the guy that interests me. It's Jimmy Garoppolo all of a sudden. Something that struck me about what Kyle Shanahan said about Christian McCaffrey, I feel like rings true. And he called him a force multiplier. And if he's multiplying forces, so this was in regard to, does it hurt Deebo Samuel? That was kind of the question posed to Shanahan. Are there going to be enough footballs to go around? All those things. And Shanahan basically said, yeah, he's going to open things up for everyone. And I agree with that. And nobody benefits more, I don't think, than Jimmy Garoppolo. So, so that aside, you do have to wonder if with Deebo Samuel back, and I think we'll see Deebo get fewer carries and Chris McCaffrey remain very busy, and maybe Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle can both, be solid fantasy values going forward as things open up with all these weapons. Maybe this offense will gain a little ground for all of us. And this week, and people are going against the Chargers, who can't stop a running back to save their lives, right? Cannot stop the run. I'm expecting a busy Christian McCaffrey week. So I would still go. Judy's problem is this. I think Judy has taken over for me as in my mind as the wide receiver one over Cortland Sutton, who's done next to nothing. Going to change week to week, sure. But it's just the Denver offense still not scoring at the rate that gets me excited. So that's my order: Kirk, Ayuk, Judy. And all Dusty in the same tier, by the way. So if you have a preference, feel free. But I think I've worked you through all I see. Trey S. Good morning. 4-point PPR. Judy or Josh Palmer. I played Josh Palmer this week. No Keenan Allen. No Mike Williams. We saw what he could do. Great matchup against Atlanta last week, right? I get it. So, but he delivered, right? He did what you would expect him to do and hope for him to do. Justin Herbert's still a pretty damn good quarterback. I know I'm invested in him, people. He's my Scott Fishbowl quarterback, and don't look at me in the standings. You'll have to drop very low. One of my quarterbacks, anyway. But so it hasn't been great, but I think the opportunities are there. I'm going to take that target of opportunity and what's still a way better offense than Denver's. Happy to see you here, Wendy. Nice to hear you come. It is Juwan Johnson or Kate Otten. Point PPR. We're deep cuts here, Wendy. Deep cuts. My gut's telling me Otten. I just want to see what the algorithm says, how much it agrees or disagrees with me. Yeah, so Juwan Johnson and I would play Otten, and it confirmed what I thought I would do. So the thing about Juwan Johnson, I mean, if Marcus Peters had shoved him harder, we wouldn't even be talking about him hardly this week. I mean, there's been some decent weeks. I just think I don't want to have to. I think Otten right now, and Cameron Brate might even be back, but I think Otten's kind of established himself, and they've been talking about this. This is something I've mentioned Greg Allman earlier from The Athletic. He was kind of on talking weeks back, and he's a guy to watch here, whether Brate is playing or not. So I'll take him at his word there. Just eyeball test wise, I think it's coming on. It's not like again, Wendy, you watch the offense there. Either offense is like thrilling, but I'll go through that. Mike Murray always crushing. I must have missed the first comment. Rolling back anyway. All right. Okay. Mike Murray. Aaron Jones game versus Dallas. I would play Aaron Jones. I like if I've been playing him as my running back one, running back two would be ideal. You got like Kenneth Walker, giving you a high floor. Somebody's risen up the ranks or something. Damian Pierce or whatever. I'm playing Aaron Jones against Dallas. It's a great defense. I get it. And he is off the injury report, and that helps. So lend me a little confidence. It's not like he's helping people. Off the injury report does not mean 100% over the course of a week. So I'm getting a little feedback on my audio. I appreciate that, people out there. So yeah, so I'm going to keep playing. Like, there's one option for me in this backfield. I mean, I was heavily invested in AJ Dillon, hoping for more. Maybe there's still some folks down the stretch that they go a little run heavier. Maybe it starts this week. It would make perfect sense, right? Cowboys got a great pass rush. They're pretty tough all the way around, but have a lot of his pieces back though. It seems like most of the receiving core, the one will be out without his Romeo Doubs. He's out probably 6 weeks, but Christian Watson is off the injury report. Alan Lazard's off the injury report. Watkins off the injury report. And Cobb's still in IR. I get it, but a lot of pieces there for Aaron Rodgers. He just hasn't looked at. He's dealing with the sore thumb. Offense seems out of sorts, but I was still playing Aaron every single week. Andrew, injuries killed me this year. Fields, JT, Swift, St. Brown, Olave, Godwin, Goddard, Bass. All right, Andrew, that's a little bit of a vague question for me just to, I don't know what moves you can make. I don't know who's available on your waiver wire. Give me something specific and say, hey, I would like to pick up this person, and should I drop this person or something like that. I mean, just in general, some injuries are going to kill you. Jonathan Taylor, Swift, injuries have killed you, right? St. Brown, He's been good when he's been on the field. I think he's missed what 3 games. I want to say. Olave's been fine. Godwin has been fine when he's on the field. Goddard's playing at a high level. Bass is fine. Dallas is fine. So you know, your bench is rough. You know, again, too big. You know, too many variables for me to give you a lot of specific help there. But if you have a more specific, like I want to move this guy for this guy, or I want to drop this guy for this guy, maybe I can help you out. Saturday will at least fix the O line, Mike Murray says, and that means play JP. But will he? I mean, will he fire him up? Yes. I mean, can he fix the offensive line? I don't know. It seems pretty dysfunctional to me. They're playing horribly. So I'm not, I get what you're saying. And I mean, that's the hope, right? Is that Jeff Saturday comes in and gives his team a spark. It's an unpredictable game. Emotions are part of it. But they're going to have to get a lot better. I mean, it's a big fix. This is not a minor fix. Sacks, I want to say the most sacks between them and the Bengals without having to go out and dig up the number. It's not been great, right? They're not opening huge holes for Jonathan Taylor when he is healthy. So they'll have a long way to go. I'm still going to play Jonathan Taylor this week because he's healthy and because he's Jonathan Taylor. Beyond that, I don't have a lot of other reason to be playing him, right? I'm playing him because I invested in him, and his name's Jonathan Taylor, and he's been good. I don't know if that's a great strategy. Something I like to tell people to do is divorce the name from the numbers. Look at the numbers. The numbers have not been great for Jonathan Taylor. I'm not saying anything that anyone who's invested in him doesn't know, and I think the reason why is a lot of it's been the offensive line. Just I'm not going to. The offense in general hasn't been good either, but you look at his numbers when he played that first week 1. I mean, big 27-point outing, ran for 161 yards, had the rushing touchdown. All those things you want. And then after that, single-digit game against Jacksonville, 12-point game against Kansas City, 5-point game against Tennessee, missed 2 games, 15-point game again against Tennessee, a very weak defense. Washington has 7 points in a game where the offense couldn't do a damn thing. So, I mean, expecting a sudden, vast turnaround seems like a bit of a reach, but also I'm still playing with it. And I'm hoping you're correct that Jeff Saturday will fix that offense. And the Parks Frazier, the young offensive guru, who will be the play caller, has a little something up his sleeve. I'm hoping for all of that. But again, Sam Ehlinger is set to start there. You look at the circumstances, right? And all of a sudden, Matt Ryan's shoulder's healthy. He's practicing. Could we see him? Maybe that's something Jeff Saturday said to Robert Irsay, Jim Irsay, Robert Irsay. I'm dating myself. Maybe that's something he said. Look, man, if I'm coming in and I'm going to be the coach, I got to make these calls. There was talk that Jim Irsay was kind of leading voice in the benching of Matt Ryan, in part because if he gets hurt, he owes him $17 million next year, right? We'll see if Saturday can get some things. It does sound like the players support him. At least the players on his team not supporting much. Maybe a rally around the troops moment. It's interesting. I'm kind of fascinated by the whole thing. Eager to see how it plays out. Setting my expectations very low. Dane Silcox. I have my quarterback on bye this week. My backup is Stafford. If he doesn't play, the only quarterbacks available are Davis Mills, Sam Ehlinger, and Andy Dalton, or possibly a backup for the Rams. Who should I start? Playing the John Wolford card is like emergency for me. I can play Dalton. Henry Friedman. Like I don't know if you missed it. People are jumping in and out of here throughout the course of time, but Davis Mills has been a huge disappointment. The player I had some expectations, high-end expectations, but then maybe he would be a consistent weekly producer, albeit low end. I think in general we could say the quarterback play has not been great across the board. Just in general this year, 20-point games seem to be a little harder to come by than they have in past seasons. So, but that group, Dalton has the higher floor to me. At least I want to say. And the rankings agree with me. Sometimes the rankings agree with me. I like to rankings. I should probably check them every time. I'm familiar with the rankings. I'm working with them constantly, but knowing the exact positions. When you ask these specific questions, I like to check. Kyler Murray says Henry Friedman, Derek Carr, or Daniel Jones, full point PPR. I play Daniel Jones over Derek Carr, and if you have worries about Kyler Murray, then sure. I mean, he's active, and that's the thing. You do have in position for you have Carr in position for a fallback, right? So he's a late afternoon kickoff. So I think so you could always you always have that fallback. If you want to stick it out with Murray, you could do that. I'm kind of keen on playing the Giants pieces. And by the Giants pieces, I mean the two pieces that seem like, if not trustworthy, well, Saquon Barkley in this matchup you're going to play every week. But Daniel Jones has been surprising. We rank him as quarterback 12 this week, just ahead of Carr, who's at 13. And Murray ranked ahead of him. It's just the uncertainty of a hamstring injury, especially for a quarterback who relies a lot on his mobility. So that's kind of a you situation, but you do have the fallback if you want to wait it out. Just skip out on Jones, wait it out, see if Murray's active, play him if he is. That's a viable approach, but I would have concerns there, because it's hamstring and could he aggravate it? Sure. So could a guy that goes in totally healthy get hurt? Yeah. But I mean, just playing the odds here, I'd probably go Carr if I wanted to wait out for Murray and go to the fallback if I need. Top of the afternoon, Stephen Gagnon. Thanks for coming in. Iron Edge 120. Full point PPR, Goblin versus Seattle, Miles Sanders versus Washington, or play both and stick DeAndre Hopkins versus Rams. Kyler Murray doesn't play. I talked about this a little bit last night, Mike Dempsey, on the Sirius XM Fantasy Radio program, Football Diehards, which you can hear 4 nights a week, including tonight from 8 to 11 on NFL Radio and the Fantasy Channel. You can hear me on the pregame show tomorrow as well. And we kind of discussed, how do we feel about Hopkins? Hopkins has been very good, people. Since his return, you'll be surprised to learn. Anyone invested in him knows this, but let me just throw out how good he has been. If you were to project his 3 games this season over a 16-game season, we would be talking 139 catches, 1,589 yards, and 11 touchdowns, averaging 22 fantasy points per game. The obvious missing piece would be Murray here. Is Colt McCoy serviceable enough? Probably so. I'm probably still okay, but I do like your other options as well. I think Sanders is a fine play against Washington, and I think Godwin's a great play every week, at least a volume play at PPR. So if I was choosing between the two, Godwin or Miles Sanders, I'd probably go with Miles Sanders there. I see what the machine. I always mention this, we talk about the algorithm. Our rankings are based on algorithms we've used for many years. Emo Catholic has come up with the wizardry behind that, and they're pretty damn good, right? And so a lot of times, I'll look at them and I'll say, okay, I get the rankings, but I'm still going to play within the same tier. And you should take the same approach, right? Pretending that any of us has the ability to predict with exact accuracy that A.J. Dillon is going to finish one player ahead of Jeff Wilson or one player behind whoever. I mean, but I use it to kind of arrange player tiers, and then I play my hunches within those tiers. It's not a bad way to do it. We like to play our hunches. We like to be smarter than everything. But generally speaking, I think Miles Sanders would be the wiser play, and I would stick with Hopkins as well on that, without a doubt. And I'm hoping, again, Colt McCoy, a lot of experience. Not, he's not Kyler Murray, but he's fine. So that would be my approach. Jahan Dotson is back. Looks like Jahan Dotson is off the injury report. Let me just double check that. Jahan Dotson is active for week 10. Okay, off the injury report. Monday Night Football, Jahan Dotson. Mark, I saw you follow me on Twitter, young man. Welcome to the fun. PPR need 2. Jonathan Taylor at Las Vegas. Gabe versus Minnesota. Jeff Wilson versus Cleveland. Ayuk versus LAC. Probably still playing Taylor. And I think what you're hoping for is the matchup. Raiders defense not playing great football. I'm still playing that. If you think that's you'd like to give it a week and see what's going on with this disastrous Colts approach to things, or at least unprecedented approach to things, I would go Jeff Wilson and Ayuk. So here's the thing about Gabe Davis, right? I'm not anti-Gabe Davis. I know people think I am. Gabe Davis is anti-me. and that's a nice thing like this. So let's look at the scoring for Gabe Davis, right? 18 points week 1. Didn't play week 2. Or didn't get a target week 2. At Miami, 6 points. At Baltimore, 2 points. At Pittsburgh, 32 points. The explosion. Had the touchdowns. Had all the work. Against Kansas City, 16 points. Against Green Bay, 5 points. Against the Jets, 5 points. I mean, that's double-digit scoring in less than half the game. I mean, that's in him, right? And we'll see. This is aside from the quarterback issue, so that's why I tend to dial back on Gabe Davis. I think he's kind of a boom bust play. There are times where you can use that if your roster is constructed that you have room. Like if you think the rest of your players are super consistent, have solid floors, and you feel really comfortable, and you think you can take a swing for the fence play like Gabe Davis, and knowing that the other end of that spectrum, the boom bust spectrum, is bust, then yeah, I'm fine playing. In this case, is one of my primary plays. I'm not going with them. I think those others reliably and have been more consistent. Jeffrey Cooperman, hey Bob, PPR. Should I start Darnell Mooney versus Lions or Brandon Cooks versus Giants? I'm starting Darnell Mooney this week. I like Darnell Mooney. If you go to the website and read my DFS 3 and out column, you'll see some of the things, some of the reasons why. Not the least of which is a great matchup. Again, the Bears are running way more than they're passing, but Justin Fields looks really good. He's hit some nice scoring throws in recent weeks. And I think the running game should open up more and more for the receiving game. Chase Claypool maybe helps everyone out a little bit there. So that's the direction I'm going. Jeffrey Cooperman also has bye week issues. Who should I gamble on? Jerick McKinnon versus Jags or Chase Edmonds versus Titans? If Jerick McKinnon was fully healthy, this would be an easy call. And maybe if he's active, it's still an easy call. I like McKinnon. This goes back to not just this year, but although it has happened recently. The developments have been great recently. The playing time last week, the snap shares for the running backs, I think I want to say it was 60%. 60% McKinnon, about 20%. Let me look up the exact number so I'm not speaking totally. What do we have? McKinnon, 62% of the snaps. Pacheco, 22. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 17%. You go back to last year, Andy Reid, who was the running back that was on the field more as the team went into the playoffs? It was Jerick McKinnon. So I think he's a more trustworthy play. If he was healthy, this would be an easy call for me. I don't know what the hell to expect from Chase Edmonds. I know he's in a lousy offense. Maybe he can make it better. Maybe he was the missing piece. But he's third in the pecking order going into this week for sure. I do like the matchup, maybe a little better, but I'd probably gamble on Jerick McKinnon if he's healthy. Just make sure it's not here while I'm thinking about that. I don't think I'm missing anything here on the kickoff times. So just let me double check. It's early game, so. Yep, early kickoff for the Chiefs. So I would go ahead and if McKinnon's active, don't like a guy that gets an injury added on Friday in case you missed it. He was practicing fully early in the week with a couple issues and then added a shoulder issue. It seems like Friday, and they listed him as questionable. So that's something to watch. Must win, PPR, Devontae Smith or Kareem Hunt versus Miami. Yeah, they both seem like a little bit hit or miss, right? So I'm probably going to lean Hunt in a shootout. Let me just check something. Yeah, I'm going to lean Hunt. I'm going to go with the rankings on this one. And by the way, we do have flex rankings if you like to use those at the website. We have positional rankings, and we have flex rankings where the running backs, receivers, and tight ends are all jumbled into one place. And sometimes it can seem a little more even in your mind and good to get a little clarity, which I just did. And the clarity came to Kareem Hunt. Hopefully that game's a big shootout. I kind of like the hit the over there. I think depending on where you do your wagering, it's 48.5, 49.5. Andrea, Russ Wilson versus Tennessee or Jared Goff versus Chicago if Allen doesn't play. Go Goff either way. I'm kind of avoiding Russell Wilson. I mean, for the obvious reasons. Until this offense gets consistently series, the lineup. PPR, Evans or Lamb? Oh, I think I don't want to overthink this one. I'm gonna probably stick with Lamb in the PPR. If it was a standard, I might go. Justin Herbert or Daniel Jones. I would probably still play Herbert, but it's a fair question, right? I think the rankings have Herbert. I want to say we're just inside the top 10. Jones at 20. So I mean, it's close enough. I do like the Jones matchup. I'm still playing Herbert myself. I would follow those rankings, but it's very close. So if you have a feeling, go with it. If not, Will Herbert versus Detroit or CH versus Jacksonville. If you heard, I just mentioned the snap shares or at least the playing time percentages. I'm going to probably go ahead and go Khalil Herbert. We're relying on kind of on both these guys, and I think Herbert has a better shot at getting. That's great. By the way. The problem for me with Herbert, not the least of which he's sharing with Montgomery, both of them are also sharing with Justin Fields, who like all the carries if he wants. It seems like. Um, but CEH, it seems like if you don't get the touchdown, you're not getting anything. I go. He's got some touchdowns this year. Pat B, no questions? Hello. Pat. Appreciate you coming by. Always happy to have everyone come in here, whether you're just working and listening or you have questions. Try to get to all the questions here, and I'll keep working on that as we go through here. Just a reminder, I'm Bob Harris, senior editor, footballdiehards.com. It's a website. You can go there. Lots of great information, tons of news, ongoing flow of news all the way from the start of the week up through each round of kickoffs. Get you all the inactives, everything you need to know. A ton of great columns each week. DFS lineup percentages, all the tools you need, including DFS lineup optimizers, stats, points scored, points allowed, ease of schedule down the stretch. So something I start looking at more closely as I'm making roster moves is what does the schedule look like for the players going forward. It's very important as you're, if you're trying to set trades. All kinds of good stuff there. Footballdiehards.com. If you're not a subscriber, use the promo code Diehards to get yourself a 15% discount. Also, subscribe to this channel. Right there, there's a button. Subscribe. You'll get notifications when I'm going live. You can also see it on my Twitter at FootballDiehards. So sites Twitter at FFDiehards. So check that out. You can also catch me on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays at 10 p.m. Saturdays at 8 p.m., Sundays at 11 a.m. for the pregame show. So check that out. You find me here every Saturday at noon and every Wednesday night at 7 on the hot seat with Bob Harris. And Saturday night, don't forget DFS lineup show. Eric Romoff with Drew Phelps tonight, our prop bet man, great guy. We'll fill in for Jamie Calandro tonight, who's away for this week, doing some stuff in Washington, D.C. Peter Ostrom would like me to pick two, please. Olave, Lockett, Godwin, Josh Palmer, McLaurin, Pittman. Boy, so there's a lot of good players there. You should consider a trade. I mean, when you have that many starters, it gets different, right? I mean, these are all guys that are probably, within the top 24 options any given week. So, would have to dig into the matchups here. Just going off my gut, I'm probably playing let's say Lockett every week. I'm probably playing Godwin. Just trying to come up with a pecking order in my head because you gave me a lot. Palmer. So I think I see all these guys. So I'm probably going to go McLaurin. I could avoid this week because he's going up against Darius Slay. Palmer I want to play. Lockett I want to play. Godwin I want to play. So this is a you question, Peter. Or you could just go to footballdiehards.com and read down the rankings like I'm trying to do, but I can't really do here. That's a lot of options, man. Narrow it down for me a little bit. Who are your favorites? Pickens or Gabe Davis? I'm probably, so this is probably a case where I'd probably go with Davis, but given the quarterback issues, I wouldn't be afraid to play Pickens at all. Again, I kind of ran through my thoughts on Gabe Davis. He's in a way better offense, though, than Pickens. So, probably logically, divorcing my heart and what I feel about these things, Gabe Davis is the more logical play, but I do like Pickens an awful lot this week. He is in my top 3 wide receivers. Let's see where Davis is ranked. Davis is ranked right at the tail end of the wide receiver twos, which I'm not necessarily comfortable with, playing him like that. But so do you go to the lesser piece in the better offense with Case Keenum? That's a tough call. I'm going to probably play my hunch and stick with Pickens there. Davis probably the smarter play. Jeffrey Cooper in PPR. I need to start 2 of these 3. Pittman versus Raiders, Sutton versus Titans, or TJ Hawkinson versus Bills. TJ Hawkinson for sure. And then I'd probably play Pittman over Sutton right now. And I mean, that's just almost a coin toss there, right? Like Sutton just seems to have kind of fallen off the map a little bit, just in a lousy offense. So I'm not pretending the Colts offense is better, but at least he's at the top of the pecking order for sure. In his Vegas. Okay, Pat lied. I'm glad you lied because I like one question from you, Pat. I feel better about it now. What do you expect from Cortland Sutton this week? I think I just answered. I don't know what to expect, right? This is the problem. I feel like this season has been more volatile. And again, I'll go ahead and take a stance on these things. I always try to, except when you give me like six really good options, then it's impossible for me to. Again, don't mean to not answer you, Peter. It's just, this is more a you question than a me question. You've got six guys in the top 24. You need to trade someone. That's what you need to do. Bolster another position. Anyway, so my expectations aren't high for Cortland Sutton, and I talked about this being a volatile season, and you kind of get these wild swings. Well, one wild swing we haven't gotten is consistent high end production from the Denver offense. Just hasn't happened, hasn't materialized. I don't know that I see a sign of it. I do like the matchup this week. So there's that, but I expected Cortland Sutton. My expectation going into this season was Cortland Sutton was going to be the reliable piece of this offense. Jerry Jeudy's emerging more as the reliable piece of this offense. More so, maybe Greg Dulcich emerges as the most reliable piece. But I'm not enthusiastic. I think he's a startable option, low end startable option in a 3-receiver lineup. Last question. No worries, Jeffrey. I'm here. You can ask all the questions you want. Wan'Dale Robinson or Kadarius Toney in the flex. I'm going to play Wan'Dale Robinson. Maybe some of the injury issues. Maybe if there's no Jerick McKinnon, I start thinking a little differently. Mecole Hardman is out, so I don't want to get too caught up because Kadarius Toney's a new thing in a new place. We're gonna see a lot of work. Justin Watson was busier than he was last week, right? So I don't want to go overboard. So Wan'Dale Robinson, I don't want to go overboard on him either, but I feel more confident in his role in the offense, even Kenny Golladay returns. Defense question: Seattle versus Tampa Bay or New Orleans versus Pittsburgh? I'll go with New Orleans in this case. I do like Seattle though. Tom Brady, I have a number here for you. And one of the things we're looking for is disruptive playmaking ability, right? Seattle's been better, I think, than I expected him to be on defense. Tom Brady hasn't thrown an interception since week 1. To set a new record for consecutive passes without an interception this week. He's thrown 373 passes without an interception. He's getting sacked a lot, so you got that going for you. But I don't know if I see all the high end playmaking ability. I think that's more likely with Kenny Pickett, with the Saints going against Kenny Pickett. Rashad White versus Seattle wants to know, Mark D, or CH versus Jacksonville. Is a solid starting option. I'd probably maybe go a little hunchy and say White. CH is probably the smarter play. Let me see what the rankings agree with me there. Yeah, it's very close. And the rankings do. They like Edwards-Helaire a little bit more and White a little bit less. White, CH just inside that top 36, White right on the outside edge. So they're right there in the same tip. So, if you have a little bit of a hunch, CH probably the smarter play there. Peter Olstrom, PPR. Yeah, Peter, narrow it down for me. I hope you do, because I don't want to just bail on your question. But, do you have leanings there, Peter? Honestly, yeah, you have 6 guys in the top 24. Mooney, Gabe Davis, Devontae Smith, Matt Collins, PPR, pick 2. Says MJK, 2288. I like Mooney and probably Devontae Smith. Collins has, a clear path to workload, right? So, I understand why he's in the equation. I'm probably not going to move him up there. He's had a big game. I get it. But I'm going to probably go with Mooney and Devontae Smith. And I've hit Gabe Davis 100 times here, so I will not tell you details why. But obviously, I'm concerned about the up and down nature and maybe the change of quarterback. Although I do believe Case Keenum is perfectly capable of running it on. Good morning, Alejandro. Thanks for coming. Good morning, Mr. Stanford. Willpower. Michael Pittman versus Las Vegas or Randale Moore versus Rams. Half point PPR. My last spot. Rondale Moore's been serviceable enough. I mean, but we have the quarterback issue. I don't know if I'm as eager to play him if with a change of quarterback, but he does seem to have a pretty solid role. I think the smart money here again. If you missed it, I talked about it at the top of this broadcast. We tend to, we see a negative situation and we think it's horrible, and it probably is horrible, right? I mean, it's not ideal what's going on in the Colts, right? So I'm not going to pretend. But last week, Michael Pittman still got 6 targets and a horrible offensive day, right? Horrible offensive day. Let's not understate how bad it was. About 103 passing yards, right? For Sam Ellinger in that game. It just nearly half his passes. But he threw 6 to Michael Pittman, who is the most targeted player in that offense. So I think that's still something I would play and hope that they can get a little better, or maybe hope that something changes for Matt Ryan. Hope is not a great strategy. And Rondale Moore, though, has been like really solid the last, I want to say, 3 games. And I'm not going to pretend I've been a big supporter, but had a 10-target game last week. How much does that change? How much of that's because the Cardinals are kind of dysfunctional early in games and fall behind? What if they get ahead in this game against the Rams? So a lot of pieces. I would say, I guess for me, I'm going to stick with the more logical point. I think, most weeks DeAndre Hopkins is going to be the most heavily targeted receiver in this offense. Zach Ertz is going to get his share in this offense, and Rondale Moore is going to get his share. But I still think Pittman being at the apex of that group is probably the logic I would follow on this one. But it's close enough willpower that if you had the hunch about Rondale Moore, again, they're both late afternoon kickoffs. So I think they're both late afternoon. Double check that before. That's stupid. Yeah, both late afternoon kickoffs. So you can maybe wait and see what's up with Kyler Murray, and maybe that would be the deciding factor. Maybe if Murray's playing, I'd feel more comfortable with him. My golly. There, we've sorted that out. After starting the Rodgers or Carr this week, I'm starting Carr this week, and it's not even close for me. Aaron Rodgers against Dallas does not appeal to me. Steve Linder, PPR. I want to say this is probably the lowest I've seen Aaron Rodgers 19 in our rankings this week. Right? That's low. And he probably should be there. Derek Carr right at number 13, so easy call for me there. Steve Linder, hey Bob, PPR need 2 wide receivers. Ayuk versus Chargers, Pittman versus Raiders, or Gabe Davis versus Vikings. I feel like I'm going to be a broken record here because I'm not eager to play Gabe Davis. I would probably play Ayuk and Pittman, realizing that Deebo Samuel's coming back, and maybe Ayuk's 3-game run of greatness will slow down a little bit. It's entirely possible. But Gabe Davis, for the reasons I outlined, I could outline him again, but you probably heard him last time. It's just that high, that variance has been crazy. So are we having audio issues again? I was hearing otherwise, and now I'm hearing not. I don't know. Need 2 flex. Lazar, Pittman, Lazar, Swift, Jamal Williams. Also, Freiermuth or Schultz. I'm playing Freiermuth for sure. Something that Mike Tomlin said this week caught my ear. That how are you going to replace Chase Claypool? And Freiermuth was the name that leapt into his mind. Says he works in a lot of the same places. So hoping that's true. So Pittman, Lazard, Swift. I'm probably playing. So in a vacuum, I play both of the running backs, right? I think they're both ranked highly enough. Jamal Williams, I like slightly ahead of Swift. I'd probably play them both this week if you don't want to put all your eggs in that basket. Again, I like Pittman's volume. I'd probably play Lazard over Pittman this week, though. One of the things about Lazard, I think that's there's a number I have on him that struck my fancy. Let me hunt it down because it is a pretty interesting. Going back to last year, 1 year ago, 11 months ago, Alan Lazard scored in 9 of 12 games. Okay. Anyway, for a team without a lot of trusted red zone weapons, he's won. But probably more logically, I'd play Pittman. But again, the screwed up situation in Indy, I might just want to avoid it with an option like Lazard. And again, we'll play both those running backs. If you don't want to play 2 running backs on the same Alejandro, I play Williams over Swift, and I'd go to Lazard instead of Swift if that's what I was doing. In a league where I need wins, would you play Fields over Hurts this week? I would probably not play Fields over Hurts this week. No, not. The rankings agree with you. We have Hurts as our number one ranked. Washington not playing great defense. Steve Linder, PPR need one from each of these two. A tight end, Dulcich versus Titans or Hawkinson. I like Dulcich still playing Hawkinson. And wide receiver, Rondale Moore versus Rams or Gabe Davis versus Vikings. Probably playing Rondale Moore there. Superflex, in case of Josh Allen is out, which would you pick? Kenny Pickett versus Saints, Keenum versus Vikings, Mostert versus Browns. I would go with one of the quarterbacks. Might go Keenum there over Pickett if that's the case. Again, Keenum is serviceable. Again, going back to Gabe Davis. I don't hate Gabe Davis, people. I don't know if I can, lay it out any better. If you feel more comfortable with that up and down nature, your roster might be built better for it, right? That's the thing. I mean, you make a roster that has all kinds of great high floor guys. You say, you know what? I need a guy that can help me with the swing for the fence. And Gabe Davis is a swing for the fence kind of play. My only point here is he's not a consistent week-to-week producer. And Rondale Moore has kind of become that in recent weeks without Marquise Brown there with DeAndre Hopkins back. He's become a consistent producer. PPR Superflex. I said that one, got that one. So I would go definitely Keenum over. Hello, David Mason. I'd start one of these. Start White or Isaiah Pacheco. I'd probably start Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, he's the starter at least. You got that to hang your hat on. I get it. I ran through the snack shares, from last week, and McKinnon was the lead piece, even though he didn't start. But McKinnon's beat up this week, so I'd probably go Pacheco. White seems to be an ascending player. I'd want to keep him, but just still hard for me to start him at this point. Hi, Bob. Jamal Williams at Chicago or Tony Pollard at Green Bay for PPR play. Probably going to go Pollard in this case. And I like Williams an awful lot. I think they're both great plays. Not a wrong answer here. Let me just check the rankings. Rankings actually I like Williams a little better. Yeah, the rank. Yeah, so Williams 15, Pollard 19. Probably taking, expecting Elliott to play. If Elliott doesn't play, it's an easier call, right? It's a super easy call, but that's a late afternoon kickoff, so you might not know unless it's 30 days. Ezekiel Elliott doesn't make the trip. So yeah, I'm probably leaning Pollard here, but Williams is the Williams has been the better play, of course. And let's see, Steve Linder. Running out of time, so I'll try and go through these fast. I'm not going to get to all these. Just not. Sorry. Spending too much time, I guess. Let me see. Let me try to go fast as I can. Need one. Okay. I play Swift over those choices, Steve Lindor. Marquis. Probably play CEH over those two. Charmaine Burnside, yes, you can, but I'm running out of time. Major revenge game for Diggs. It is. And for Case Keenum. Will you poop on camera again? Need two. Swift, Jamal Williams, or Gibson. I would probably play the two Detroit running backs. If you don't want to play those both, I would play Williams and Gibson. Mark D. I would play Ayuk and probably or yeah, probably man, CEH. Yeah, again, I'm hoping that if there's no Jerick McKinnon to be CEH, then I'd have to think it through a little more carefully. Johnson or Mooney, I'm going Mooney in that one. Jesse, Mr. Gus 17, Pickens, Pittman, or Rondale Moore. Again, if you're playing the logical approach, Mr. Gus, it's Pittman probably. Rondale Moore is right there in the conversation. I kind of like Pickens as a hunting play, but I think both those other two are better options. Moore might be the safest option, but you won't know you'll know that Pittman's a late afternoon kickoff too. So maybe if there is a Kyler Murray, you go in that direction. Notifications. Kevin O'Brien, best two running backs, 4-point PPR. Probably slightly though Wilson and Herbert. Mostert, this may be a Mostert week, right? Just don't know. Hard conclusions. Again, if I'm not getting your question and I'm not giving you the fulsome answer you would like, go to our rankings, footballdiehards.com, and you will be able to read them as well. Joshua K, thanks for these shows. For half point PPR, please pick a running back between James Conner, Herbert, Mooney, Cortland Sutton. The running back would be Conner, and I would probably play Herbert slightly over Mooney. Kyron Williams, combine, I know, I got it. I've stashed him as well, but I think my point was, Will, don't get your hopes up. The Rams are a horrible rushing offense. Their offensive line stinks. And, there's a reason Kyron Williams was not, a highly sought after commodity. I'm not, I get it. He was very productive in college. And I don't know that he will be for the Rams because some pretty good players already. Please pick a half point tight end between Ertz. Yes, Ertz. I probably like him. I like Dulcich an awful lot, but it's a little bit hunchy. I think Ertz is a safe play, great matchup for him as well. Wendy, earlier I have Andrews on bye, so desperate times call for desperate measures. It is true. Do you see Kadarius Toney being a viable fantasy starter this season? I do not. Down the road. Donovan Peoples-Jones or Chase Claypool? I like Donovan Peoples-Jones this week. Hello, Remy. I need a flex, one full PPR. Herbert, I'm probably playing Herbert there, Harry. Jared Wilson in non-PPR, DeAndre Swift versus Bears, Brandon Cooks. I'm playing Swift. And, I mean, there's something to be said for Josh Palmer, but I'm playing Swift there. I started J.B. Myers over Rondale Moore last week. Suggested not good. I don't get every answer right. Pickett or Dalton? I'm probably playing Dalton over Pickett. Christian S. Hey, Bob, thank you for doing this. I just traded away Ertz, Curtis Samuel, CEH, C. St. Brown, Mark Andrews. I like that one. It's a pretty solid win, Christian. Need 2 in PPR, JT, Pierce, Pollard. It is easy. If I told you not to play Pierce, would you not play Pierce, Christian? Don't play Pierce. You would hate me if I said that. You're playing Pierce. After that, I mean, maybe, you could make an argument for Pollard over JT, I think. Thank you, 513 rookie. Non-PPR, who is the lesser defensive evils, Justin Herbert or Kirk Cousins? I want to say Justin Herbert is the lesser of evils. Meaning, maybe rephrase, make me sure. Well, is this for the defense playing against him? I like Herbert slightly. Slightly. Need 2, Fields, Geno Smith or Herbert. I probably play Fields and Smith in this one. 6-point TDs, Rodgers or Wilson. I'm probably playing Wilson over Rodgers barely. Who would you rather own rest of season? Probably Robinson. Paul DeSantis, best darts throw in a year. Nico Collins, Mac Hollins, or DeAndre Carter at San Francisco. Probably Mac Hollins for me. Dart throw. Perhaps Dave will. I don't know that he will, Stephen, or not. That's the thing, right? I mean, and that's the thing about Gabe Davis every week. Kind of stated my case. So love Gabe Davis. Don't necessarily love his role. Don't love the high variance. In a standard league, would you start Palmer or Judy? I would start Palmer. I would start Geno Smith, but I like Jimmy Garoppolo too, an awful lot. All right, everybody. I'm not going to get all. I might get to all of them. There's no more coming. I might get to all. I'll try to get through everything here. In a standard league, would you start Palmer or Judy? Yes. Donovan Peoples-Jones or Chase Claypool? I like Donovan Peoples-Jones. Pittsburgh defense, Denver defense, or Rams defense? Really? TJ Watt's supposed to be back. I'll play that, and I'll play Denver. Andrea, Chris Olave versus Pittsburgh or Michael Pittman versus Vegas? I'm going to play Chris Olave in that one. Ryan Tannehill or Kenny Pickett or Case Keenum? I don't trust Tannehill. I'd probably play Case Keenum over those guys. 2 quarterbacks. Yeah, I probably would. I mean, Pickett's okay, right? I mean, it's a tough matchup. Ryan Tannehill, don't feel great about his health, and I don't know, and don't feel great about this offense. Passing aspect of this. They're a run first team. Dak or Gino 4 point. I'm going to play Gino there. Um, probably play the Cardinals defense if that's the case. George Cook. Finn Strong, who would you trade Hurts and Ertz for? Who won this trade? Hurts and Ertz for Dak and Kelsey. The Hurts side won that trade. Cousins or Lawrence, TD league only. Slightly Lawrence. Will Josh Allen play? I don't know. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate everybody coming. Appreciate your time. I'll be back Wednesday night at 7 p.m. for On the Hot Seat. Catch tonight on the same channel. You'll see Eric Romoff, Drew Phelps will be doing the DFS lineup show. Jamie Klander off this week. Check out the Football Diehards on the radio program tonight on NFL Radio, Sirius XM, and Sirius XM Fantasy from 8 to 11. Mike and I. If you didn't get your question answered here, call up. We'll take calls all night long. We'll catch you next week.